Hi everyone and welcome along to Sonic Academy with me, Chris. Today we're joined by a producer who did a course last week on the site, and we're going to dig into the course a little bit more and have a chat to him. Please welcome to Sonic Academy, Michael Oakley, all the way from Toronto, is it?
Niagara, an hour away.
An hour away. When you look on maps, it doesn't look an hour away. It looks actually right, sort of on the edge of the city. Is it close by?
Well, well, where I live, you can look across the water and you can see Toronto, but the way that you have to drive, it's kind of like a U shape. You have to drive all the way around, so it's like an hour away when you drive.
Brilliant. So how long? What took you from? I take it from the accent you originated from Glasgow. What took you to Toronto?
I married my wife. She is from here, and I just ended up moving over here in the end,
And
obviously to be with her.
and how long have you lived in Canada?
That's me being here for coming up for 3 years. It'll be
So,
this year. Yeah.
and tell me, how did you get into the whole synthwave scene and stuff? I mean, you're one of the more prolific players in the scene. How did it all start for you?
It was kind of strange. I just had went through a sort of series of weird life-changing events. I had went through a breakup from a long-term relationship, which I ended up having to move back in with my dad, back in my parents' house because I lived with her. And then while I was there, I started writing music again. I hadn't written for
Hmm.
years, and I felt like I had a lot of stuff to talk about. That's why that first album's all about love songs. So yeah, it was kind of strange, and I wanted to make something that was like the music I listened to when I grew up.
Hmm.
When I was at high school, because I listened to 80s music at high school, and then I just sort of discovered the synthwave scene round about that time. So it was kind of like all these things happening at once that kind of, I guess, took me to where I am right now talking to
And was
you.
there always a desire to get back into music, or was something that just kind of happened when you broke up and went, I'm at a loose end, I've got some more free time, let's start making music?
If I was honest, I think I had always wanted to do it, but I had always made excuses,
Okay.
to be honest. you know. It's easy to sort of get stuck in a 16 bar loop and then you never get out of it. You know what I mean? When you don't take it so seriously. But when I had moved back and I was going through that, I had a different focus and a different perspective on it all, I guess.
So,
You know?
what was the first sort of success? What was the first thing you went? Actually, hold on. This is working. This is something I'm good at, and this is something that is resonating with fans.
It was definitely when I finished Rabbit in the Headlights because I had finished the track and I was really excited about
Hmm.
it. But I didn't really intend to do anything with it as such. The whole kind of idea of me writing music again was more of a kind of, I guess, like a therapeutic, cathartic sort of thing for me
Hmm.
personally. So when that happened and I discovered new retrowave, curiosity got me. So I sent it to NewRetroWave, and weeks went by, and I didn't think they were interested.
Hmm.
And then they said, "Oh, we love this. We're going to put it up in the station."
Hmm.
And then when they put that track up on their YouTube station, and I noticed that every day the track was getting like 10,000 more views every day over the course, and it's now over. I think it's kind of peaked now, but it's like it had that moment where it was like there's 250,000 like views on this. I've never had that
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
This is like whoa. And like I didn't expect it to do this well, and even like this year the track is going to hit like in a few weeks the track will hit 1 million plays on Spotify, which for me is like
Well,
what?
I mean, these are
What?
big milestones. I mean, this is almost like they're almost like chart positions nowadays. 20 years ago,
Mm,
people were going, "Oh, we got top 40," and now it's, "Oh, we got a million plays on YouTube or Spotify." It's
yeah.
a bit of a, it's an achievement. It's a big achievement. So what you're in a bit of a unique position in that you sing, write, and produce, which is kind of unique in synthwave, is it?
Yeah, I think it's probably fair to say that. I think there's a lot of producers who maybe get singers to come in and sing on their projects, like kind of similar to like I guess what Calvin Harris would
Uh,
do or someone. But then Calvin sings as well sometimes. So I don't know.
and tell me that what what when you're sitting down to write, do you start making the tune, or do you sit at a piano or a guitar and write the lyrics first? What is the way it works?
I would say 99% of the time I usually start in Ableton, and I'll usually maybe drop a drum loop
Mm-hmm.
down and then loop it, and then I'll just go through patches and find sounds that I like, and I'll be like, oh, that's nice, that sounds good. Stop, move on to the next MIDI track, open up another thing like Nexus or something, and then flick through sounds. Oh, that's a nice bass sound.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that. And basically, what I'll do is I'll find like a palette of
Mm-hmm.
sounds, and then start to kind of play around with it. And then once I've got, a little demo of something that's a kind of like a mood board, then I'll move upstairs to the piano and kind of play with the chords and the melody. And once I've got something that works, then I come back down and I finish
Brilliant.
what I'm doing. So it follows that.
And do you have a very small select, synths that you use, or you kind of do you know what you do you have like a bunch of presets or sounds that you really like, or are you constantly searching for new things or sound designing new things? I know you do a lot of sound design work.
Yeah, I would say I definitely am always looking for new things, much to the detriment of my bank account, and like many a
Everyone's. Yeah.
producer, like it's like looking through the list. My wife made me like go through my PayPal and like list everything that I had bought, and like
Oh,
when I looked through it all, I was just like, oh my God, man, I didn't even need half of this
you
stuff. I don't even use half of this
you need a
stuff.
secret PayPal account. You don't tell her about the other one. It's like.
That was the secret
All right,
one.
how did you find? Oh man, totally
Yeah,
caught.
so I'm now I'm just sort of using that, but yeah, yeah. I, I do look for new stuff all the time, constantly, but then the thing is, you gravitate towards the same types of sounds, but on the new synth.
Right.
But I would say I've definitely hit a point like where I'm kind of like streamlining what I've got. I think most producers like that, right? They go through that phase of, oh my God, I need to buy all this stuff, right? And so they hoard like sample collections and
Yeah.
plugins, and it's like, oh my God, this is great. Then there comes the point of, oh my God, I've got too much stuff, this is overwhelming me. And then that process of like deleting things that they're not going to
Calling thing.
use,
Yeah.
it's like a seesaw of going through that. But yeah, I definitely gravitate towards similar sound types for
And are
sure.
you all in the box, or are you using? Have you started the habit of the dangerous habit of buying external gear at the moment?
I am all in the box, although the last couple of days, I was on Reverb looking up a Juno 106, but I do it's kind of like getting a tattoo for me. When you want to get a tattoo, you sort of like, right, if I'm going to get it, I'm going to sleep on it for a week,
Right. Okay.
just because this is a big decision. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've slept on it, and I'm not going to buy
Yeah. Well, it once you go down that rabbit hole, it is really difficult to Phil. And Phil, we've talked about this on the live show a couple of times, in that he's racks of gear and he's got the doesn't get touched. You're kind of going,
it.
I could go all the way over there and I could plug that up, and I could, and then you go, I could just be here and open up the Juno 106 on Roland SoundCloud, and we're in the we're in the ballpark.
Well, the funny thing is, when I was a teenager in like the late '90s, and I started life doing music with like a crappy Windows 95 PC, a crack copy of Cubase that I had got from the local market, right? And like VSTs were totally like, Rebirth hadn't even come
Yeah,
out
yeah, yeah.
yet, and so I basically had like a collection of stuff. I mean, the stuff I had at that time, I had a Roland. What was those workstations that the Roland
XP,
had, the
the
black
XP.
XP? I had an XP80. I had an Ovation KS rack. I had a Juno 106. I had like, everybody had the obligatory Alesis 363O
Yeah, yeah.
compressor. Um, and like it was like a rack full of stuff. I had the Electribes, the little blue
Mm-hmm.
one, the little red one, the drum
Yeah,
machine
yeah.
one, and it was exciting. Like when you bought stuff, you're like, oh, this is really good. I can't wait to get this home. I mean, I don't know if you remember Sound Control, that the shop chain, the music
Yes,
shop
yes, yes,
chain.
yes, I do. Actually, I remember. I
So
think it
it
was in the
used,
one in Glasgow. There was one in Glasgow, was there? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I used to go in there. That was like the kind of like the sort of gear
Yeah,
porn.
yeah.
You know, you would go in and you would look at all the stuff like, oh my god, they've got like an Ensoniq Fismo in here. I'm going to play with that today. But yeah, I used to get all these things, and honestly, like I was the most unproductive because the time it would take you to like load in settings on all the synthesizers, and then you'd have to remember them so that when you loaded the session, like I had an Akai S 2000
Mm-hmm.
sampler and an S 950, and I loved them. I loved the 950. If I was ever going to buy gear, I would probably get like an old
Yeah, yeah.
sampler, just because I love to put drum sounds in there and then bit reduce them and put them back
Mm.
in. But yeah, I mean, it was like nothing got done, and it was just like taking up space. And honestly, the best thing I ever did was in 2004. I sold all
Mm-hmm.
of it to get a laptop and propeller head
Uh,
Reason.
I, we did the exact same. I found our bill in about '99. We bought, we'd have been a success with the records, and we spent 35 grand on studio gear. All these, we had the Roland, we had Waldorfs and stuff, and I think about 4 years later, we sold it all back to the shop for 3.5 grand because it was just on the cusp of VSTs. But to be honest, I was much more productive just in the box and just having VSTs. It was much better for me.
I'm the same for sure. That was definitely the best thing I ever did. Although it's funny because recently I was talking to somebody about that, and you know all those synthesizers that I had, especially the analog
Yeah, yeah.
ones,
I,
they they've went up in
I know.
value, whereas that little crappy laptop that was like, it was like an Intel Celeron 1.4
Yeah,
processor. Like that, as soon as I bought that and handed over the cash, like you could take a zero off the end of it.
yeah.
It was like, it's like I've lost the value on all of that.
No, totally. And I do regret because we sold some brilliant pieces of kit, like 303s and all. We let go for very little money. It was insane. So it's kind of like, oh, and now you've come out the other side. You're kind of going, should we? I'd really love to buy some of that stuff back again. But you go, I've been there and done it. Let's chat about the course. So we brought you on to Sonic to do your track uh, control. How old is it?
Oh, Control. I started that at the very end of 2017. It was the first track that I had actually moved over here,
Okay.
because I released the first album California in October 2017. So I had a little bit of a break and then started the new album after that. It was an interesting one because y- I'm kind of one of these like people that I like to always, if I finish a project like an album, I'm always looking, the first thing that I do when I move on to a next project, I like to make sure that it's completely different sounding to the previous
Okay. Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
And I go out of my way to like make sure I'm using different drum type sounds and synthesizers, and I won't use certain things just to try and break that habit of not doing something that sounds too much like the
Mm-hmm.
previous. So Control was um, the first one that I started. Yeah, it's funny going back and opening up the session file and looking through it and seeing like, oh yeah, I was still using the Pro Q2 then. Now I'm using the Pro Q3, and
Big,
like all these
big,
things.
massive difference there.
Yeah,
It's like it's
absolutely.
completely revolutionized your low cut at 90 hertz. uh,
Exactly.
so that's so. Where are you now? Where do you think synthwave is now? Is it? I mean, it felt last year that it was really ingrained in pop music and the culture, and you saw it in ads and Katy, not Katy Perry. What do you call the other one? Pop singer.
Lady Gaga.
No, no, no. She's country and western, and then she's pop. Massive. Uh,
Taylor
that's the
Swift.
one. That's the one. She definitely had some influenced stuff. So where do you see synthwave today in 2020?
Um, that's a good question because I do see it evolving now. I see there's definitely a more polished pop kind of sound to a lot of the music that's coming
Mm-hmm.
out. I think the genre went through a little bit of a stagnation period where it was almost like we were sort of stuck on, 2016 for a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
while.
yeah,
There was, it's funny, someone else who did one of the courses, Time Cop,
yeah, yeah.
and you know, like I love Geordie's music, and it's funny because I think he was probably the victim of his own success because there was so many people that tried to emulate his music and his
Hmm.
sound that it ended up that type of sound became very sort of like
Formulaic.
every single
Yeah.
it was just all the time you were hearing that. So I think now we're coming out of that. There's been more producers uh, who are really great at production, who are bringing stuff out. It's funny because like part of the charm of the genre early on was the fact it had a bit of a lo-fi bedroom kind of sound, and it sounded like it hadn't been
Hmm.
mastered, and that the production was a little bit more rudimentary, and that was part of the charm. Whereas now I think it's the more polished productions that are standing out. So yeah, I definitely think this year will be an interesting one. There'll be good
And where do
stuff.
you see yourself in the next 12 months? What do you mean? Are you going for that big polished sound now, or what's you write for other people as well, don't you?
Yeah, I definitely love that pop
Yeah.
polished sound. I must say, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I would have said I hated pop music, but I feel like right now pop music's going through a nice
Totally.
renaissance of like great melodies, great sounds, and it sounds good. So I've been definitely working on a new album. I'm going to be releasing a couple of singles this year. I had planned to do an album, but because of everything that's kind of happened, um, I can't tour,
Hmm.
so I couldn't go and play any live shows. So which I want to do when I have the new album there. I want to do live shows. So I'm going to release a new album next year, tour with that. The new sound of the album is definitely going to be more modern sounding. I would say it's a more modern take on the retro genre, that's for
Okay.
sure. Definitely the production I've noticed. I've been doing things that I wouldn't have done on the previous album, just because the previous album was more of a love letter to the music I grew up with. So yeah, definitely the new single comes out in May
On
22nd. So
on new retrowave, is it?
on New
Okay.
Retrowave, which one of our lucky remixers.
Yes, we'll get a release on. Yeah, we should actually mention that. So if you don't know, Michael has provided Stems package to download and get your remixes in. It's a really good chance to do a synthwave remix plus get released on probably the biggest synthwave label, isn't it? We can
Mm,
safely say that. So yeah, you would get, and their
yeah,
YouTube channel is just about to hit 1 million subscribers. So I'm sure, we can maybe persuade them to upload your remix to the channel and get exposed
yeah,
to a lot of fans of synthwave out there. So it'd be
yeah.
a really cool prize. So definitely get your remixes in. Michael, I want to thank you for joining us on Sonic Academy today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
And
it.
thank you very much for the course. And I hope you guys all enjoyed it and get some insight. We'll be playing this out in the live show. We'll release it on YouTube in full as well. So again, Michael, if you join it, if anyone on the forums, if you have any questions, I'm sure Michael would be quite happy to jump in and answer any questions.
Happy to.
Uh,
Yeah.
and hope to have you on the site very, very soon.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Well,
Appreciate it.
look, go and enjoy the Niagara Falls while you can. Is the weather getting any better there? Is it getting warmer?
It actually has been sort of like mildly snowing again in April. It's just like
Does it the
come
winter
on.
feel long?
It does this
Yeah.
time round. It's felt
Right.
long. It's the first year that I came here. It was a horrendous
Right.
winter, but then the following year I had the best summer I've ever had in my life. So
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the thing about Canada is it's a really long, harsh winter, but you guaranteed a summer, whereas in Glasgow it's just constantly grey and 10 degrees. you know?
it's consistent. The
Yeah.
seasons are
That's
definitely
that's
consistent.
that's
Yeah,
all
for
you
sure.
want. That's all you want. Listen, thank you so much for joining us in Sonic Academy, and we hope to see you guys all very, very soon. Thanks everybody for watching, commenting, and indeed liking. We really do appreciate all the support we get here on our Sonic Academy YouTube channel. So if you found this video super useful, please, we'd love you to hit the subscribe button. We update the YouTube channel every week with new content. And if you want to watch some more relevant content, just click on the videos beside me.